thank you so much, Jairek, for making yourself available. This really matters. I can't begin to thank you enough because this is so important right now. Just gratitude towards you, your father, your family. You guys have been so amazing, doing amazing work. So let's get started and let's get this going. Are you excited?
I'm always excited, especially excited though for today. I hope this message helps a lot of people.
Absolutely.
There's really simple, just what we stand for is our goal is to reach the people who need it most each day with the message they need. And I always tell people, I don't know, who you are, where you are, what you're going through, but each day we push out good content with the hope that it'll find you at the moment you need it most. So for those people either watching or listening, my hope for you is that there's something in here that finds you at just the moment you need it, that gives you that insight or that reminder that makes everything make sense again. So I hope you find something useful in here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that bit. Right. So first of all, the crisis that we're at, the situation that the entire world is going at, it's getting worse and worse day by day. So in India, actually today was the last day of lockdown. The entire country was under 21 days of lockdown. And our Prime Minister announced another extension for until 3rd of May. And that's taken the entire country again at a shock because there's so many companies going at a loss. There are people. In fact, I just happened to hear that in Calcutta, there's one city here in India, Calcutta. I don't know if you've heard about it, about the place, but I just got to hear that there are parents who are not being able to feed their children, so they happen to commit suicide. To go through something like this for anybody, and for the situation that we are going through, no matter where we are, what we are doing in the entire world, everybody is facing the same. We are all facing this. It is stressful. So what can we actually do apart from taking care of our mind? So I am mostly into mindset. I have people with mindset coaching, business and stuff. But when people are really, really scared, they are so scared of taking action, they are filled with anxiety, fear. What is the best that can be done? What is the best that they can do, Jairek?
Good question. So if I could draw you a picture, let me see if this will work real quick, and I'll see if I can draw you a picture. Because I think it's important for people to see this just as much as to think about it. Let me just click this real quick. Let me see if this will come up on the screen for us. So if I were to take this, and let me see if I can, I apologize in advance for my triangles, but that looks good. So we got a triangle.
It's perfect.
So if we were to throw, for most people, if we start out with fear, it's how we feel. So we feel fearful. And the question is what's the benefit of fear? And fear, if we were to be clear, exists. Let me get a little smaller here. Fear exists in 3 places. Fear exists in the mind. Fear exists in the emotions. And fear exists in the body. And those are 3 very different places of how fear works.
Sure.
And if we were to look at fear in the mind, those are the thoughts. Am I going to make it through this? Do I have what it takes? What if the worst case happens? What if I can't figure this out? It's the mind fear. Emotions are the feelings we have, destitute, lost, hopeless. Those are emotions. But the body is how our nervous system reacts to fear. And so for a lot of us, when we are fearful, we first have to recognize, because some people are like, well, I would rather be fearless.
That doesn't work.
I don't know if you want fearlessness, because if you were fearless, you might see a giant animal like a leopard and be like, oh, look at the kitty cat.
And probably the leopard is hungry at that time. What do you do then?
Exactly. And if you're not fearful of a giant leopard that's hungry, there's a chance you accidentally walk over to it and it eats you. That's not necessarily good. There's supposed to be fear in the body. The problem is our fear keeps getting activated for things that aren't worthy of our fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to ask, what's worthy of being fearful of?
Mm-hmm. True.
For a lot of people, they think death is worthy of being fearful of.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know. I mean, murder is worthy of being fearful of. Wrongful death is worthy of being fearful of. But the concept of something that's totally natural and part of life, I don't know how worthy of fear that is. It's part of life. It happens to everybody in time.
True.
I was like, oh, well, if you're not afraid of the death, what are people really afraid of? Most people are afraid of not really living the life that they desired. And I was like, the reason they were afraid of dying is because they had something they wanted to do that they haven't been able to do yet. I was like, oh my gosh, well, what if we made a list of those things and got real clear on how to make those happen? Or they have something they want to say to someone that they've never been able to say yet. And because they haven't said it, they would be scared if they were to die because they never got to express that feeling.
Absolutely.
Or they have an experience they want to have, or they have something they want to learn or create or do or give to society and the world. And therefore they're afraid if they don't give it or do it or have it or experience it, then they might leave without ever knowing what it is. And so the fear really isn't about death. That just happens. The fear is about the things that might have, could have, would have, should have happened before or after. And so if we look at fear, the other thing with fear, it depends on how prepared we are. I always use the example, if we were cavemen and cavewomen and we lived in a cave back in the day, and we were going to go out and use the restroom, and as we're walking out of the cave, we look over and we see our spear. You know, we have a spear sitting on the side over there, and we're like, my spear. Do I really want to carry my spear with me just out there to the bush and the tree? Like, I don't know. So we leave it there. And we walk out to the tree, and we get to the tree, and we go to the restroom. We go into the bathroom, and the giant bush next to us shakes. And we hear, if we don't have our spear with us, we'd probably feel fearful. Like, oh my gosh, something's about to have me for dinner.
True.
But if we rewind, if we go back to the cave, on our way out, we go, I never go anywhere without my spear. I always bring my spear with me. We grab the spear. We walk out, go to the tree or the bush, whatever. We start going to the bathroom. And halfway through, the bush next to us shakes and goes, rrr. We might be excited. We're like, my gosh, I just have to stab the bush and get dinner. I don't even have to go chase it tonight. It's amazing. It came to me. Now, I don't eat meat, but that concept of, in one reason we're scared and in another moment we're excited. The only thing that changed was if we were prepared or not.
True. So do you think, Jairek, do you think this time that we're at, where the entire world is at a crisis, do you think this is because like people have been misusing whatever we've been gifted, or probably whatever we've been blessed with, and probably this is a time where we actually look within, where we actually, find out what are the gifts that we've been given, and actually go out and contribute to the people, and probably, just do something which we haven't done before, maybe explore more and do something, because like you said, this is so right. We must have that fear, but we can't be sitting with that fear. I mean, the fear, we are programmed to be fearful, right? We are scared. I mean, we will get scared for certain things because that's exactly how our mind is programmed. But then we can't be sitting with it. We could possibly make that into something productive. You get me what I'm saying? So, we 100%. Could actually, we could actually go ahead and make that into something productive. So would you want to go ahead and, suggest something? What I suggest that we could look within, because there's been time where people have been complaining, I don't get enough time. I don't have enough time to spend with my family. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm good at. So don't you think that it's actually the best time probably to sit and, introspect and just, understand who you really are and what you are good at and what you can actually do apart from the things that you've been already doing?
Sure. Absolutely. I think a big piece of that depends on how well you're prepared as well.
Yeah.
And going back, I use this example, and it makes, if we were up in the mountains and winter showed up, winter's cold in the mountains. Like it snows, it's freezing. And if winter, I always say, winter isn't coming anymore. Let's say winter is here.
Okay.
Metaphorically, the cold
Right.
times, the hard times. And what happens in winter? Some people like this guy might freeze to death. Like if he doesn't have supplies, if he doesn't have food and shelter and warmth and the stuff he needs to be prepared for winter, he might freeze to death.
Amazing.
Other people go skiing.
Right.
It's the same season.
Right.
One group gets to go skiing with their family and play games and hang out in a cabin. The other group freezes to death. And you're like, what the heck happened? And it came down to how well they were prepared. Now, how we help people prepare is we need to help them evolve their fear into something that's more useful. And so if we were to evolve and say, what could fear turn into? What if fear transitioned into faith? Could be something.
Beautiful. Yeah.
What if fear transitioned into faith? That'd be very powerful. What if fear transitioned into, let's say, confidence?
Yeah.
If you were prepared for this moment, you'd be very confident in winter. If you're prepared, or if you're not prepared, but you have the faith that you will figure it out, you'd still feel very confident in winter. So faith and confidence might be something we want to evolve our fear into, but how do we get it there?
Yeah,
a lot of us start in the mind. And I like the mind. I think the challenge is if we don't get fear out of the body, then no matter how, I always tease people here in the US, right? I say, if you were walking down the road and all of a sudden you heard a growl and you felt like a drop of saliva from like a bear on the back of your neck about to eat you, you're going to feel fear in the body. You're going to feel fear in the emotions, and you're going to feel fear in the mind.
Right.
Now, if we just tell our mind, I'm happy, I'm healthy, people like me, and I'm going to be all right. That's not going to solve the fact that a bear is about to eat us.
Absolutely. I was just thinking that. I mean, look, I'm in that situation and there's a bear, literally growling. And what do? I'm scared. If I just go ahead and keep telling myself, look, it's not going to do anything to me. I'm happy. I'm smiling. It's not going to come near me. But would it actually stop?
No, you're going to turn into a very happy bear meal. You'll be like, wow, that human was super happy when I ate him. Like, so instead, I always say we got to get fear out of the body first. And how do we get fear out of the body? Well, there's a couple ways. One way to do it is this a 3-minute, and this is my version of an icicle, a 3-minute ice cold shower.
All right. Oh, yeah.
And so people always go like, is it smart to take a cold shower? Like, is that really a good idea? Well, I don't know about you, but whenever I've turned on only the cold water and stepped inside, my body goes,
oh my goodness, ask me about it. I hate cold water.
But it knocks the breath out of you. It knocks the thoughts out of your mind. You can't think of anything when it's so cold. It like knocks the thought out of you, and it knocks the fear out of you. Like it's just gone. It disappears instantly.
Does it actually prepare your body to kind of get, used to that situation, so it helps in different situations as well?
Totally.
Yeah.
So there's research that shows a 3-minute ice cold shower, somewhere around 60 to 90 seconds, it feels like the water gets warmer. And in reality, the water doesn't get any warmer. Your body fires off its adrenal glands, which actually makes you stronger and more resilient to it in that moment. And so if we're going to help get from fear to faith or fear to confidence, we need your body to be more emotionally resilient and physically resilient to chaos.
What about the fact you don't like it? Then what do you do?
That's okay. You breathe. And that's the other way to do it. And so most people don't like the chaos in the world right now either. But imagine if you can get comfortable breathing in cold water that you don't like, could you get comfortable breathing in a chaotic situation in life you don't like?
Absolutely.
And if you can find calm, if you can find calm and you can find peace and you could even maybe find joy in that cold shower for 3 minutes, could you find calm and could you find peace and could you find joy in the chaos of the world right now? Yeah,
absolutely.
And so it's purposefully creating an uncomfortable situation to practice finding the joy in it, to practice finding the strength in it, to practice finding the courage and faith in it. If you have faith that you will survive the 3 minutes of ice cold water, everyone will. But if you believe you will survive this cold water, I bet you'll believe you'll survive chaotic times in the world as well.
Yeah,
So
that
I
gives you
call
a
it
lot of confidence, I believe. Yeah, gives
totally.
you,
It's a
yeah.
small training each day that
Mm-hmm.
reminds our body we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And according to Stanford research, it actually makes our physical body stronger from the inside out because it's
Mm-hmm.
releasing all the chemicals that are all the benefits of fight or flight without the negative consequences. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of having negative stress that burns down our adrenal nervous system, this actually builds up our adrenals and nervous system. It makes us more resilient. If
Yeah.
you want a really neat documentary to watch, Vice,
Yeah,
VIC,
you could put the links in there. You could probably give the links to me. I would post it in the, yeah, so
perfect.
that
So
people can just watch it. It'd be so
wonderful. They did a
helpful.
documentary on a guy named Wim Hof,
Oh, I
who
know that man. He's amazing.
he's amazing.
He's amazing, Wim Hof. I kind of follow him. He
Yep.
does this. You know, he's like in this ice cold weather, and he just survives through this. He's called the Iceman, I believe. Iceman.
That's right. And so this 3 minute ice cold shower comes from him. It's saying, hey, his
Yeah.
wife through depression killed herself,
Ah,
and it hurt his heart so bad he went and sat in nature, and he found very simple things that anyone can do through the breath and the cold to become the strongest version of themselves from the inside out. And so with the breath, if we were to look at that real quick, there's a couple of things we could do. There's an app called Breathe. It's free. It's just a little circle that goes in and out. And you can do 20 minutes of breathing each day.
All right.
With 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out.
Okay.
And if you do it for 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night, it'll calm the whole nervous system and it'll reset your body to calm. So you'll just feel calm all the time. The other thing you can do is a breath that resets the whole nervous system. So this is a really simple one. It's just in through your nose really slowly.
I'll do it along.
At the very top, I'll show it to you first, then we'll do it together. At the very top, you push a little bit more in, and then you hold it and squeeze. And you squeeze it for 5 seconds. And on 5 seconds, then you open your mouth and you collapse and you drop all the air out at once. So it goes, and at the top you go, and you drop your head and drop your shoulders. And so we'll do it 3 times together. Ready? In through your nose.
Okay.
A little more at the top. Squeeze. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, drop.
Okay.
We'll do it 2 more times.
Okay.
A little more at the top. And then squeeze. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way up.
Wow.
Make sure to drop.
Wow.
And then ready? One more.
Yeah.
A little more. Squeeze. All the way up.
This is interesting.
And all of a sudden, for most
You
people,
feel so refreshing. I mean, it's so refreshing.
It resets your vagus nerve, and your vagus nerve is connected to your peripheral nervous system, which is where fight or flight exists. Like the peripheral, where all the part of your nervous system completely resets. It's like pressing the reset button on a computer when you do that in your body.
Amazing.
And so with 3 breaths, you can reset your nervous system. With the Wim Hof breathing, you can energize your nervous system. With the cold showers, you can cleanse the fear out of your body, and you can reset it every day. And so if we just use the showers and the breathing, we have the ability to reset the human body from fear and get into faith and confidence.
It's so amazing that you actually talk about this today, Jairek. I happened to write an article upon, so India Today is one of like the leading news channels in India.
Huge.
They approached, it's huge. They approached me asking me if can you contribute to this? We really need something out there for people to help them, deal the situation. And I happened to write upon this same, topic about facing your fears. What you need to do is every day while you are confined to your house, what you can do is you can do one thing that you're really scared of every day, make that a habit. And then, you can face your fears every day, little things, be it just going ahead and talking to somebody who you haven't or you're scared of. Making that one bold decision can actually change your life, and making that one decision can actually make you so much confident that you'd be able to do anything. You really won't be scared. So it's just that going ahead and breaking that pattern of the fear that you kind of have within you. Isn't that true? I mean,
Absolutely.
I've experienced that. I've experimented that over and over again. I remember doing this. Like, I was a quite notorious kid. So, when people told me if I just don't do this, I would just think and wonder, why would somebody tell me not to do it? And I'd actually go and do that. As simple as, lifting something which is so heavy. And I know I'd bear the consequences, but I learned through experience, the kind of person that I am. I mean, it just works that way. I love that quote, the quote that says that involve me and I'm going to, I learned. I think I just forgot that, but that's an amazing quote. So, I kind of learn with experience. So it's so amazing that I've learned this throughout my journey. And I feel people should do this often. Instead of just sitting and listening, they should go out and take actions, because that's going to change everything. Like,
right.
Whatever you said, this was so amazing. I tried it personally. It is amazing, and people should actually do it. So I suggest each one of you watching us, just go try it out. Try these simple tips, these simple techniques. It can actually change it can change your wiring, to be really honest with you. It's going to do amazing to your thought process. It's going to do amazing to the way you feel and the way you think, especially when it comes to fears. Jairek, let me ask you one question. I got an amazing question. Okay, you want to share something? Go ahead.
Yeah. It's amazing. I have our second largest group of students. We have students in 112 countries around the world. And our first largest group is here in the US. Our second largest group of students we work with is in India.
Wow.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. Amazing.
It's cool. I was excited about that. And what happened was, a lot of the techniques we were using here for top business professionals applied really strongly for students, because students would get fearful right before their big exams. They'd get nervous. Yeah. They'd kind of get anxiety or freak out a little. Yeah. And all the things we're talking about, I would tell them to go take their 3-minute ice cold shower every morning, to do their breathing right before their exam, their calm breathing. And they'd write me back on Instagram and be like, I aced my exam, sir. Thank you so much. And I was like, great.
Wow.
And they're like, you're amazing. I'm like, no, I'm not. I just know a couple things that work. Let me share them with you. And they would do it. Even big stuff. I had a young girl write me and say, hey, my parents really want me to be an engineer, but I feel called to be a pilot. Like, I'm very scared to bring that up to them and tell them. How do I tell them? And I was like, I don't know. They might be upset at that. And I was like, but it sounds like you're fearful of what they might say or do. And she's like, I'm very scared. I'm like, well, we need to get you to a place of courage and faith, so you can express to them how important this is to you. And maybe they agree, maybe they don't agree. That's okay, but let's just express it to them in a nice, kind, generous way.
Sure.
And she went and did it. And she says, yeah, they think it's a dumb idea. And I said, okay, what are you going to do? And she's like, I guess I'm going to do both. And I was like, okay, well, both is better than one. So how are you going to do it? And she came up with her plan, and she writes me and she's like, you won't believe it. I went down to the school where they teach pilots, and it's mostly all men. And I told them what I wanted to do. And they said, okay. They said they'd let me train with them. I'm like, that's fantastic. And she's like, this is amazing. And then she sent me a clipping. I think it was a clipping a few months ago, or maybe last year, an article of, I think it was the first female fighter pilot in India.
Wow.
And she was like, look, my hero, there's someone doing it. She's like, I don't want to be a fighter pilot, but I could be a pilot too. So can she. Wow. And it's amazing, because all these tools, I mean, they're helping young people to make those courageous and bold moves and have the faith that they can figure it out, even if it's going to work or not. So that's fear out of the body. Second, fear out of the emotions.
Yeah. And the mind.
Yeah. Well, emotions and then the mind.
Yeah.
And so with the emotions, whatever questions we ask, we tend to find. So if I say, what's wrong with me? Our brain will look down and try to figure something out that it doesn't like about ourselves.
Yeah.
People say, why am I so stupid? Why am I so dumb? Why am I such an idiot? And then their brain goes, well, because, and it comes up with a reason. And then you believe it.
Hundreds of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I always say, what do people want to feel more of? And most people want to feel more love. They want to feel more joy. They want to feel more courage. And so why not ask a better question? Why not say, where's the joy in this moment?
Sure.
Where's, when's the time in my life I was really courageous? I had courage, and what if I did that again right now? Where's the time in my life where I felt tremendous happiness or joy or strength or love? And if you keep asking the question, your brain will start focusing on it. And as your brain focuses on it, you feel it. And so that's with emotions. We need to ask powerful questions. And then now the mind. And you're very familiar with the mind, so am I. The concept with the mind, whatever you feed it, whatever you read, whatever you listen to, whatever you put into your mind consistently is what you're going to believe and feel.
Sure.
There was a gentleman in South Africa who was put in prison for over 25 years. And it's like, wow, 25 years in prison, Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad got to meet him one time.
Wow.
And when he was speaking with him, he says, how did you survive prison?
Yeah.
And Nelson grabbed his arm and pulled him close. And he said, I did not survive prison.
Mm-hmm.
I prepared every day. And he was like, prepared for what? And he said, I prepared for the day that I would be free so that I could lead my country to freedom.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, what a different thought process. One person is trying to survive sitting in their house right now. Another person is preparing for the moment when things change and they can go out into the world and do good works.
Absolutely.
And it's like, that's what you're choosing to focus on. That's what you're choosing to do with your mind every day. Are you learning a new language? Are you learning a new skill? Are you learning a new talent? Are you finding a way to serve people even when we're stuck at home? There's this little picture. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It's this little boy who's a Boy Scout who's stuck at home. Mm-hmm. And it was on the news the other day because so many businesses are failing right now and struggling. Mm-hmm. And this young boy invents a 3D printed ear guard because everyone has to wear masks right now here in the US.
Right.
It's a piece of plastic that goes behind the head and holds the mask for you so it doesn't have to pull on your ear.
Okay.
And I was like, my goodness. Like, I don't know if people can see it watching, but this little boy made an entire business sitting at home. He's sitting at home.
That's amazing.
And he made a business out of scratch. He used a 3D printer to create it.
Yeah.
And
there's actually a little girl who's done that too, who's actually made multiple masks out of, like, I think so, cloth. And she's made it and she's kind of just distributed it everywhere because people need them.
That's right.
It's amazing what people can do.
Some people are sitting at home suffering.
Yeah.
Other people are sitting at home creating value for society and still earning money even though their normal business is closed.
Absolutely. I actually want to bring this up. You see, the per capita income of India is about like $1,400. That's about it. Okay.
Yep.
On an average. Okay. So there is a majority of the population, like about 54% of the population that holds probably like 80% of the income, like the wealth.
Yeah.
Okay. And the rest don't, like about 46% of the population don't. There are enough of those people, who fall in that 54% of the category. They are going out and they're kind of doing a lot of amazing things. But most of them who are working in corporates who kind of have the employee mindset, and I really want to put that across to all the audience, viewers watching us today. Some of them, I kind of happen to have a conversation with a couple of these guys, and they end up telling me, Iffat, you know what, I'm so bored, and I could not take that out of my mind. I mean, I could not take that out of my head. It just got stuck here because I'm like, look, I don't have time to do this. I mean, I can't find. Like, there's so much to do right now. There's so much going on. There's so much we can really do. How can anybody get bored?
That's right.
So how do you kind of deal with that? Like, it's fear, but do you think there's something more than just fear also? Like how can people just get bored?
Well, the key with that is you have to find something that's worthy of investing your life into. And for a lot of people, they've never taken time to ask the question, what is worth investing my life into? Like, you can spend money and then go work hard and get money back. Mm-hmm. If you spend 10 hours of your life doing something, you can never get those 10 hours back. They're gone.
True.
And so most people value money more than they value their time. Mm-hmm. And if you start to value your life and value your time and say, wow, my time is very valuable. Mm-hmm. If I use my time somewhere, I can never get it back. If I use my money somewhere, I can go earn more money.
I can easily make that back. But what about the time? Correct. Absolutely.
Correct. And so when they start valuing time, then they start thinking about it differently and go, wow, what is worth investing a day of my life into? Mm-hmm. What's worth it? When I look around, is my job worth investing a day of my life into? Mm-hmm. Someone said how much things cost is the amount of life you have to give up in order to get it.
Sure.
And I was like, whoa, That's different, because people are like, oh, it costs $100 to buy that thing, or it costs 100 rupee to buy that thing, or 10,000 rupee to buy that thing. And it's like, wow, that's a lot. And it's like, well, if it takes you 3 days to earn that amount of money to buy it, what it really cost you was 3 days work, 3 days of your life to buy that.
Absolutely. You can't.
And it's like, wow, is that thing worth?
Back. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Is that thing worth 3 days of my life? Now, for some people it is, for some people it's not. But it's that concept. If you start to value your time, then you say, wow, if I were to sit at home, is sitting at home being bored worth a day of my life? You're willing to give up a whole day of your life in return for home bored. Is that worth trading an entire day of your life for? That's all you're going to get in return is I'm bored.
Absolutely.
Versus, what could you do with your time at home that would be worthy of a day of your life? Is it connecting with someone you love? Is it learning something new? Is it becoming happier or healthier or stronger as a human? Is it deepening your faith? Is it deepening your courage? Is it preparing for when times change and we get to go back out into the world and do what we want to do? What is worth a day in the life of you? And so when people shift that piece and ask, what's worthy of a day of my life? All of a sudden things kind of open up. And we start to look at things very differently. We sit down and say, if I'm going to sit here all day and wait, is that worth all this time? Or should I do something else with my time that's more worthy of my life?
It's beautiful, actually, what you just said, because that kind of reminds me of my experience, where I used to frequently go visit these orphanages here. Where you see these amazing kids. I mean, they're so amazing. I used to frequently go meet them. The moment I used to go there, they used to be so happy. They used to be literally jumping around. And that moment, I mean, that love, it's so simple for them. I mean, morning they wake up, they don't go out. Like kind of the lockdown that we're facing now, they've been in the lockdown forever. And their children, they need to go out, they need to explore, they need to experience. But, they're there at this little place where they're happy. They wait for somebody to come in, walk in, and probably just give some love out to them. And they're so happy about it. But, people here, like, you've got everything. You've been blessed with the house where you stay. You've got your people around you. You've got good food. You've got everything. And yet the fact that you sit and complain, the fact that you get bored, the fact that you can't get off the negativity and actually focus on something which is so much creative, is probably just not happening.
A big portion of that comes down to finding a way to say yes to 3 phrases. One is, I am enough. I am enough as a human. A lot of people struggle with that. 2 is, I have enough. And 3 is, I'm loved enough. And that's kind of the foundation of people. If those things are missing, if they don't feel like, yes, I am enough, and yes, I have enough, and yes, I'm loved enough, if they feel those things are missing, we get very peculiar behavior out of people, not the best of them. But when they feel like I am enough, I have enough, and I'm loved enough, we get very beautiful behavior out of people. And so oftentimes when you go visit an orphanage, the little ones, they feel like they are enough, they feel like they have enough, and they feel like they're loved enough because they know what it is to not even be at the orphanage. And, I have a friend of mine, he's in Cambodia. Oftentimes when people run out of money and they have a child they can't afford to take care of, they just wrap it in a blanket and take it to the trash site and leave it there. And our friend in Cambodia goes and finds the babies in the trash site and picks them up and takes them back and takes them to the orphanage and raises them. And it's a beautiful, beautiful man. He used to be this big fancy movie producer in Hollywood. He drove a Porsche and had a mansion, this whole spiel. He went there, saw what was going on. It broke his heart. He came home. He sold all his shit. He moved there. He built an orphanage, and he takes care of kids now straight out of the dump site, which is beautiful.
Wow.
And he's more alive than he's ever felt. And this guy won awards, and he was on TV with the thing, thank you for my speech stuff. And now this guy has so much joy in his life because he's caring for all these little humans and raising them. And he said it's the most beautiful thing he's ever done in his life.
I think that's actually what it boils down to eventually, how fulfilled you feel as a human being, where exactly your emotions, how exactly your emotions are flowing, to what extent are you actually experiencing everything in your life. And basically, I've experienced that myself, and that's exactly why I took up this journey. I have been in my business, like I've been building businesses, but I could see, other women, in fact, they were literally struggling. My heart kind of went in there. I was like, look, whatever I have, whatever knowledge I have, I really need to go out there and help them with that, rather than build my companies and build money and do all of that, because that's so easy. I mean, making money, building all of that, it's easy. You kind of, okay, fine, that's the kind of a joy that you get momentary, but what do you do with all the money? You kind of just waste it away, or probably you put it wherever you want to. I mean, it's good to have. I mean, but the thing is, end of the day, that's money. But what about your emotions? How exactly you feel? And doing this part of the work kind of made me feel so good, and it made me feel alive, that I wouldn't want to give this up for anything else in this world.
Yeah.
I believe that's exactly what we all should do, even at this time where everybody, like most of us, are struggling. We're kind of in this crisis. We are battling our fears. There's anxiety, there's uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know how long this is going to be there. It's so sad that people are actually dying due to this pandemic, and there are people kind of committing suicide due to this, because there's so much of pressure. But on the contrary, when you look at the brighter side, here we kind of just feel we can understand and know ourselves better. We can feel our emotions, and the fact that we as human beings, we love to contribute. This would be the best time to kind of do it. Don't you think so?
Totally. The piece with people, why someone would take their life in a time like this and commit suicide, they feel like they're not enough, they don't have enough, or they're not loved enough, and they don't have faith or courage to believe that it'll ever change.
Yeah.
And so if you see someone struggling, you can help them realize they are enough as a human.
Sure.
They have enough, even though, not having food for a few days, we can last up to 30 days with no food. Like, we're very strong as a human body. No one wants to have to last 30 days without food, but we can. We're physically resilient. We're physically capable of it. And to feel loved enough, with loved enough, helping someone, and it'd be very foreign and strange for a lot of people. If you went to some of those people who are mentally struggling and you had them sit down and look in the mirror and each day write down 5 things they appreciate about themselves, 5 things they love about themselves, and 5 things they acknowledge about themselves, for a lot of people, that's very hard to do.
Yeah.
And that's why they feel that it's worthy of taking their life, because they don't feel that love for themselves as a human. They don't feel it. And so to practice putting the love in. 2, they don't feel like they have enough. When I was little, I used to watch MTV music videos where they play the music videos of these people who had all kinds of stuff, planes and helicopters and cars.
I remember watching those.
And so you see these people, you're like, man, someday if I could have that kind of stuff, then I'm really living.
So cool.
Oh man, that would make it great. I went and lived in a village in Uganda in East Africa for a while, just helping with the farming in the rural villages.
I wanted you to actually share your experience, like what actually brought you into this journey. I know your father is an inspiration to so many, and definitely for you too. But apart from Tony Robbins, what exactly, like I think so this experience of yours where you went around the world, I really want you to share how your experience was.
Yeah. And so one of the things that happened is I went back and lived in the village for 3 months and just taught organic farming. And while I was there, what was really interesting, again, people were so happy, but they lived in like mud huts. And you're like, how are they so happy? There's no toilet, there's no running water, there's no electricity. Like, it's just, but they're happy. And one of the things I found, there's a couple of things there, but the beauty of it was, after growing up in California and seeing like boats and planes and helicopters and fancy clothes and all this stuff, being like, that will finally make me feel like I have enough. Living in a village and realizing like, man, I got malaria twice while I was there. And one time the doctor told me I had 6 days left to live. And I was like, man, if I could just be healthy, if I could just, that's more than enough. Like, man, that's enough. And then I met a friend She was born with cystic fibrosis where her lungs stopped working after so long.
Yeah.
And so after so many years, she had to go have double lung transplant where they cut her open. They pulled out both of her lungs and put in 2 new lungs from someone else. And then she was doing good and everything seemed to be so fine and everything was working. And then she met a boy and they fell in love and they got married and everything was amazing. She told him like, hey, there's a chance my lungs might stop sometime in my life.
Right.
He goes, that's okay. I love you anyways. They fell in love. And then one day she had a seizure and her lungs stopped. And they rushed her back to the hospital and they said, you know, my God, they're not working. Like there's nothing if we just give you another pair of lungs, like those probably won't work either. So you should just go home and slowly die. And she was like, what? And the doctor said, by the way, we called all the other hospitals and we told them not to try because we've already tried and it didn't work.
Oh.
And she's like, what? And she went home crying and she's like, I didn't fight for this many years to stay alive just to give up now. So her and her husband wrote 100 letters to 100 hospitals asking for help, and only 4 wrote back. Okay. One of them said, we can help, come here, which was UCLA in Los Angeles. Yeah. And so she went there and they hooked her up to a big machine and kept her alive until they could get a new pair of lungs. One night at 2 a.m, they came in, they said, we found a match. We have lungs for you.
Wow.
So they took her into surgery. They cut her open again. They pulled out the old lungs. They put in the new lungs. They sewed her back up. And the next day, I interviewed her husband. Her husband said when she woke up the next day, she had a big tube down her throat helping her breathe. So she couldn't speak, but she could write. She was asking for the thing to write something. And as she was writing, he said, I saw the biggest smile on my face I've ever seen in her life. He said, I wish I could say our wedding day she had a bigger smile, but I'd be lying. It was the biggest smile I've ever seen on my wife's face. And when the board turned around, it said, I can breathe.
Wow.
And she said, it was the greatest feeling I've ever had in my entire life to be able to breathe on my own will. Wow. And not have to depend on a machine to keep me breathing. She said, it was the greatest feeling to be able to get a full breath of air into my lungs without needing some help. And it rewired my brain because I was like, oh my God. I always thought if I had a helicopter and cars and boats, I would have enough in life. Then in Uganda, I'm like, man, if I could just be healthy, I would have enough in life.
Yeah.
And then in that moment, I was like, man, if I can just breathe on my own will, I have more than enough in life. And I thought she was done there. And it turned out then a few days later, they had to rush her into emergency open heart surgery because her heart started to fill with fluid. And so let me see if I could find it real quick. It's one of my absolute favorite pictures I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know if I'll be able to find it.
Amazing. I mean,
but it's a picture of her directly after the surgery. And she's sitting in a hospital bed. Her gown's open a little, and you just see stitches straight down the middle of her whole chest. Right where her heart is, there's a tube coming straight out of the middle of her chest where they're draining the blood out of her heart, or the fluid out of her heart. And she's sitting there with her glasses on, and she has a giant smile on her face with thumbs up.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there thinking, my goodness, if this young girl who's had to have 2 double lung surgeries and 2 open heart surgeries and has stitches straight down the middle of her chest and has a tube sticking straight out of the middle of her chest, if she can put a smile on her face and feel happy for being alive, my goodness, if someone's sitting at home complaining that they're bored, they might need to get a flipper upside their head.
It just makes me understand how much we take life for granted, and how much even the fact that we breathe, we take that for granted. And that's sad. Probably we should just start, appreciating the fact that we're alive, and that kind of makes the difference.
It's starting with the simplest things. It's starting with deep gratitude just for the breath every day. I mean, she's such a powerhouse as a human, and her fight every day is just to be able to breathe. And so, I mean, when you hear people sitting at home,
I believe it's her mental power. She was so strong up there. Her mind was so powerful that she just did not want to give up, and probably that's why they could just, wow. Oh my goodness.
Like the picture makes a little bit more real.
Wow.
She's got stitches straight down the middle.
She's just so happy. She's just so smiling. I mean, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Isn't that wild?
God bless her.
Such a smiley little beautiful human. And all she's doing is trying to fight to breathe.
Thank you, Jairek. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, thank you so much. I mean, people really need to hear this. I mean,
yeah,
it's so important for us to understand and really realize what we've got today. It's so much better than what most don't have.
Or are fighting for.
Yeah, or are fighting for.
She's literally fighting every day of her life just to have a breath in her lungs. And when people are sitting at home saying, I'm bored, they have superpower. They have the ability to help others heal. They have the ability to help others feel strong right now. They have the ability to help others feel loved and cared for. I mean, my goodness, if you just made it a point that each day you were going to call 5 people and help them feel good.
You would feel amazing.
Imagine how good we can make everyone feel. Imagine how strong we can get everybody. Yeah. If we said, I'm going to take 30 minutes a day and find a friend that we're going to learn something new together, imagine how much we can learn every day at this time. Yeah. If I'm going to find 10 minutes every day just to make someone laugh, laughter brings, endorphins into the nervous system. I'm just going to call a friend and make them laugh for 10 minutes every day. Imagine how much joy you could bring to someone's life right now.
Absolutely.
It just takes a decision to say, hey, are you going to sit there and be bored, or are you going to choose to stand up and do something? And if you're going to do something, what's worth a day of your life? Mm-hmm. Is it bringing joy to others? Is it challenging other people? Is it playing games with other people and practicing your mental strength and creativity? What's worth putting in that day of your life? And if you continue to do that each day, just make a decision to do it each day and watch how it builds. But to sit there and not value something that other people are fighting their entire life for is a silly thing. Very silly. And so I find people like her as my inspiration. I found her online. And I remember
She's truly my inspiration from today.
She's amazing. I saw that picture of her and I was
like seriously, how can you do that? I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, it's beautiful.
And it'd be one thing if you see her pissed off and frustrated, like, you're like, oh man, I feel that. Like, I'd be pissed too. But to see her so damn happy, you're just like, wow, if she can find that much joy in that.
What are we missing?
Man, I need to find more joy in everything I'm up to.
I think it's all self-imposed. I mean, we kind of just make our mind believe that we want to be in that space. We don't want to come out of fear because that's our comfort zone. For years together, we've lived in that space where we are so comfortable with the fear, always with us. It's like a best friend now. We don't want to let it go. Probably.
The other piece that's going on right now is people have to face the scariest thing in their entire life, which is themselves.
True.
For those people who live at home by themselves, if you live at home with your family, your family will certainly keep you busy. If you live at home by yourself, man, people have told me there's a thing, I think it's called Vipassana.
Yeah,
that's a silent retreat.
Yeah. It's a form of meditation.
They said it's the hardest thing they've ever done in their entire life. It was the scariest thing, the most insane thing, the hardest thing, the most difficult thing. And now people are being forced that. In prison, when they lock you away, the worst punishment they can do is make you by yourself in a cell, all alone. They're like, whoa.
Mad.
Yeah. And so I can understand why this is such a scary time for people. But it can be one of the most freeing and beautiful and empowering times of your entire life.
Absolutely.
If you choose
to with that, Jairek. I totally concur with that. I mean, you can do so much right now. I mean, and I believe it's more of a time for us collectively go out there, help people however we can, just be there, contribute, do something amazing which you've really not done for yourself or for the people. I mean, it's going to be beautiful. And if you're so scared being by yourself, just practice that. You're going to get so much freedom out of that. I mean,
learn to love yourself, learn to appreciate yourself, learn to find joy in who you are.
Amazing. It was so beautiful to have a conversation with you. Oh my goodness. First of all, I really want to congratulate you because I think you're expecting some good news, aren't you?
Yeah, our first little baby human's on their way, which we're very excited about.
How did I get to know? You see, I just knew it. I don't think so you've made it public ever, but I really want to give congratulations and wish you guys a beautiful journey ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Here's my wife feeding one of our neighbors.
That's so beautiful.
You can see her belly.
Yeah, that's amazing. And they're enjoying it. They seem to enjoy it.
Oh yeah, the cow loves the grass.
Amazing. Right.
We feed our neighbor every day. We get excited to go visit him.
Yeah, that's so refreshing. I mean, it's nice. I remember I had my experience once. I was working with a farming company, like they're an NGO. They're into multi-crop farming. So like you shared your experience in Uganda. I had this here in Bangalore, in Karnataka, in a part of North Karnataka, and they had these amazing, like, cows, goats, and all of, all the beautiful animals there. And there's this lady who lives in a mud hut, and they honestly don't have, proper toilets. They don't have electricity. They have absolutely nothing. But even then, when we went, they kind of, prepared meals for us. They prepared, whatever they could. And that lady, she was like about, I think so she was like in her 70s, but she was so active, Jairek. I can't even begin to explain. She was so active. She was going, feeding the cows. She was actually cutting the grass and doing everything, all the work. And she was so active. And we were like, oh my goodness, just look at her. I mean, isn't that amazing? And they absolutely have nothing to live on. Like,
there's something so special. I was talking to a friend of mine. My grandpa actually told me, he said he had a friend my grandpa was born right during the Great Depression in America, where it was the worst economic time here. And he was telling me he had a friend who grew up in the country, and his friend, when he talked about, like, do you remember what it was like as a kid during the Depression? He's like, I don't remember a depression. And he goes, really? He's like, I know it was there because I learned about it in school, but like I fed the cows every day. I took care of the goats. Like I farmed, I planted the vegetables. Like I don't remember a lot of struggle because they were in the countryside and they had the ability to build their own food and create their own life. And then you talk to people who grew up in the major cities and they were like, oh my God, it was horrible. It was the worst time ever. We all struggled. There was, lack of food. Like, I don't know what we would have done. And it's a very interesting piece. It's something that my wife and I considered. If at any point the thought of, so often we try to move from these beautiful places because we want to get to the city that has all the life and the energy and the excitement. But sometimes going back home to some of those beautiful places have the most freedom, especially during very difficult times in the world, because you have the ability to just live your life, as simple as it may be. It's the most beautiful way. You have people.
That's actually the right word. You kind of feel free. You kind of experience a lot of freedom. You understand what you're blessed with. There's a lot of gratitude that comes into picture, and gratitude being the highest form of emotion. When you feel that, when you experience that, you're in another space altogether. It's beautiful.
It's very powerful.
And I believe people should often practice gratitude right now, and probably that's one thing they should do regularly. I have this habit for all of my students, all of my participants. I kind of give them the gratitude journal. Probably just go off when you're going right before you sleep. You can type in or just write in 3 things that you're grateful for. Wake up in the morning, just be thankful for the night that you spent. You were safe, you're healthy, you're sound, you slept and you woke up, you're getting another day. So just breathe and be thankful for the morning that you have. And I mean, it brings immense transformation. It's beautiful what gratitude can do.
It's so powerful. It's life-changing.
Yeah.
It's life-changing.
Amazing. Do you want to just share a message out to the people who are watching you just before I let you go?
Sure. I mean, the simplest message I would say is, learn what it takes to find beauty and joy in these times. Live it, apply it every day, and really, truly live that in your life. Feel the joy, feel the love, feel the abundance, feel the goodness of life that's around you, and then give it. Find a way to pay it forward and help others experience that same joy and freedom each day. And if you learn what it takes, you live it fully, and then you find a way to give it and share with others, my goodness, you can elevate your entire community right now, and even with chaos going on around the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That's beautiful, Jairek. Well, Jairek's book is out there called Live It. It's beautiful. Just go get one for yourself. You do have an ebook for it, right? A Kindle version?
Yes.
Is that available in India?
Yes, there's an
Yes.
ebook, an audio book, and the physical book. I think the
Amazing.
physical book is in a lot of the bookstores over there as well.
I'm going to go ahead and put this out in the channel below so people can get one for themselves. It's going to be amazing. Jairek, I really want to thank you for your precious time. It's been beautiful having a conversation with you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and from all the people here watching from India. We really want to thank you and for the amazing work that you do. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's so important for you, this time that you spent with us, but I know that this is going to reach, I just hope this reaches to thousands and thousands and probably to millions, so that people can learn as much as they can and implement this. And this definitely is going to bring a huge, it can add value to their life. So thank you so much for doing that. It was amazing.
Thank you for having me. I very appreciate it. And I hope everyone has found something that was worthy of you spending these moments with us here.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Take care. God bless. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.